Greetings and welcome. Thank you for stopping by here on YouTube Live at The Real Bloom from Within Love. I go by Bloomy. Anything you all need to know about me should be listed in the description box. And welcome everybody that is divinely guided here, divinely drawn here, and love and light and positivity. I wish you all well, and I hope, oh, look at the butterflies. I hope you all receive all the love and light and just support and blessings that you need and good stuff here at Bloom from Within Love that could somehow help you on your path and journey. Now, in the title, I believe I put something like they were met by the ancestors and then Anubis. So I'm still waiting to see. I do believe I will be released to do a special type of a reading to determine in my particular case, and this may also resonate for the collective of you. So it will be a collective slash a personal reading for myself. So it's going to be pertaining to what I've gone through and how it's, my situation, as well as those of you who are on this path and you resonate with all the things I've been saying and it may somehow apply, okay? But when I do come back to do that, please always use your own higher guidance and only really take what's fitting. I was guided to just come back and talk about this dialogue that happened because you die and you are granted a dialogue. You are granted, you're presented with things. So you die, and then it's like in that state, the ancestors have come, for you. They're waiting, and then there's a dialogue between the ancestors and yourself, and all of that. They do give you a review. You get to look at all of that, um, and then you get to respond. You do get to respond. You do get to say how you feel. You do get to ask your request, and so the ancestors will say what they have to say back, and then after that, then Anubis may, depending on who's assigned to it, but Anubis may come in to be the one to do the final call, the final judgment. Okay. And in my particular situation, I'll start with, I think I somewhat did what happened with my sister, and then the dialogue she had, the ancestors, as well as what Anubis said for her, and then their sentence, okay? So they were showed clearly who they are. They were no longer confused. As where while they were here, they were just overtaken, okay? They were not well in the mind. And then they were overtaken by all these low vibratory energies and frequencies and beings. But when they die, then the ancestors and that shift over clears everything up. And so in the case of both my mom and sister, with my sister, um, all that stuff that had her just obsessed, they stripped it and showed her what she was doing and what she failed to do, right? And so this is why they will negotiate. They then go into negotiation because they're stripped of all of those entities and all of those, the imbalances of the mind, all of that had them captive on earth, that kept them behaving the way they did in a sneaky way, yet trying to present to everyone else that they were not doing any of that stuff. So their penalty was greatly connected to their failure to stop and their failure to be honest and truthful about things, and to do the right thing. Okay, so that was a part of it for them. Now with my sister, so Anubis, showed her everything about her obsession, everything that she did. When she had her opportunity to respond, because you do get an opportunity to respond, she, they did plead and bargain, okay? They did. They begged and pleaded with Anubis for another chance to come back and to make everything right that they were supposed to. because the ancestors remind them about everything that they were supposed to do. That why they were here, the whole point of it all, what they were asked to do, what they failed to do. Then they got to Anubis, and Anubis determines the final call. The ancestors with my sister, said a very similar thing. They said that she was a disgrace, and I know this is harsh and hard, but they have to face that from that side. They have to, when they're getting the judgment executed to them, because they do go into like the bargaining, and they go, okay, I'll go back, I'll go back, I'll go back, and I'll do it right, I'll do it right. So with my sister, they showed her the lifetimes and lifetimes that they kept giving her another chance to go back and fix it. And so Anubis's response was, we've done this. I'm kind of metaphorically, or should I say paraphrasing that, because, I can only get it how I'm receiving it. But in other words, he was just like, listen, we have done this lifetime after lifetime here. And as you can see, as we have allowed you to review, this is something you guys have been doing over and over again, and we have asked you guys over and over again. And every time you get to this spot, when you die, you guys get to this spot, and we do the same thing over and over again. And you guys promise that, okay, let me go back the next lifetime, let me do it, and then we'll make it right. Let me go back. And so, as when my sister was bargaining with Anubis, she was saying, okay, I won't interfere anymore. Okay, I won't do any black magic anymore. Okay, I won't try to, interfere with the connection. I won't try to kill them. I won't pretend. I'll tell the truth. I won't do any of that. So she went into the bargaining. She was like, okay, I'm sorry. Then Anubis was like, no, we've been here. Your judgment has been called. Okay, purgatory, stuck in the Nine of Swords. Okay, energy for them doing all that magic to torment me, to torment the counterpart, and others, to torment my son, to put death on us and to try to hide it. And so that's her sentence, okay? Now, when I asked about my mom, um, what her process was, my mom already knew though she was gonna die, okay? Um, because when my sister passed, she said, when she got the revelation about what had happened to my sister, she had said, well, Brandy wasn't lying. Brandy told the truth. And the truth has been revealed. Something to that effect, like everything has, kind of happened and backfired. And so and I asked, well, does my mom know that she's next? Does she know? And my guides had said, yes, she knows, because they've been doing this stuff lifetime after lifetime, black magic, rituals. I believe my mom was doing it in Louisiana, and she was doing it on her mother, and that's why her mother was on her really tough, because she had been doing spells and rituals and black magic for a very long time, but hid all of this, Christian, and tried to hide behind the religion and all those things, but have been practicing that stuff and a part of these secrets, all of this weird stuff for a long time. Okay. So when my mother's time came, she was met by the ancestors. She was met by her mother. And I want to say the King of Cups. Hold on one second. Who else was that? Because I know that was on behalf of my son, because she's gotten another judgment on behalf of my son. Because again, she did the rituals to try to kill him last night. Okay. And so there was severity, real strong severity on her for that. And so when she was met by the ancestors, they showed her the same thing. Okay, her betrayal, the greed, the interference, the lies, and the magic and the spell work, lifetime after lifetime, and targeting me, what they did to me. And how they had been given time after time a chance for healing. They had been shown that they were not well, that their minds were not well, that they couldn't stop, and that they wouldn't stop. And so that intervention had to take place, that they were self-destructing, that they would not stop. They would have never stopped because they were given time after time to come and try again, because she too went into bargaining. Okay, when they showed her everything, and she saw it clearly, because again, the confusion of the mind and all of that doesn't exist. So all of that was clear, and then they allow you to review everything. Okay, and so from there, you know, that's the next phase. They do go into bargaining, because it's like, what else do you do? And so they're like, okay, so my mom did the same thing. I promise I won't betray my own family. I promise I will not lie and do black magic and betray my own family for money or for stuff. I promise I'll stop, you know. So she went there. And my grandmother first told her, before she took her to Anubis, my grandmother told her, she said, no, you are a disgrace. You have done this over and over again. You are a disgrace for tormenting and torturing me, your daughter, your grandson. You are a spiritual disgrace. No, we're not doing this again. But I'm not the one that can make the call. Here's Anubis. Anubis came in, and he didn't spend much time with her. It was like a two things. Okay. Oh, I forgot the one part. Okay. Thank you, team. I forgot they allowed her, before she got to my grandmother and the ancestors and Anubis, she was first met by my sister. So my sister was there, and she told my mom, because my sister, they got her like stuck. She told my mom everything. She said, we're here. She said, we lost. The spell work didn't work. And then the Nine of Swords was there. So she said, we lost. The spell work did not work. And we're here because of doing the spell work, and for not, for doing it over and over again. And we're here to be tortured because we kept doing it over and over again. She first was met by my sister. And then that's when the ancestors came in, my grandmother and others, you know, and went over that with my mom. And then Anubis came, and Anubis made it just kind of crisp and clear at that point. He was just kind of like, no, 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 no. There's nothing else. This has been round for round. You're sentenced to the purgatory, to be tortured for what you've done. Lifetime after lifetime after lifetime, failing to get this right and keeping all of this secret and being very sneaky and sly about it. And that's it. And that's where they're at currently. And that's it for them, okay? Um, Afterwards today, you know, when I was able to kind of just go, like, get my capacities and kind of deal with it, I sat down and I got a certain deck, and I did ask my guides if they were allowed to say anything to me at this point, what would it be? And so it was interesting what came out. The first thing that came out was, you did not imagine it. You did not imagine it. And so what I felt about that is like, see, that's the reveal, that they do try to make people look crazy. When they're here, they make people try to look crazy, like they're tripping, like it's them, like it never happened. And in the 3D, people buy it. But when that card came out, I was like, I know I didn't. I know I didn't. I wasn't going to waste the rest of my life trying to get proofs and make everybody believe it and see it and all of that. And that's what saved me. Because if I would have kept staying in that, then I would have, essentially I would have, just like a lot of people that die around them. Okay? Some folks are going to look back and see a lot of stuff and realize that, oh my God, it was probably connected to my sister and my mother. And so it said, you didn't imagine it. Now, I think the other day when I was talking about my father, my karmic father, nobody's getting away, you guys. And again, this is out of my hands. Actually, this is the judgment call for people who feel entitled to kill me, or entitled to try to destroy me or my son or what's mine for whatever their reasons, whether it's mental illness or belief systems, but people who are insistent upon doing that stuff towards me, this is what's being executed pretty rapidly, because the higher ups are now saying it's it. We're not, we're not going to go round for round. Look at that throat chakra. It's finally clearing up, because some people just won't stop. And hopefully people someday understand that even though some of this stuff is tragic, nobody would wish upon, in their right mind. But see, that's the thing. They were doing this stuff. And it is tragic, right? But I mentioned when I talked about my karmic father, I mentioned how they all violated me. And they did. Okay. They violated my mother. When my grandmother passed, I already mentioned about my grandmother. She wasn't well when she was on the earth, and she knew what she did, but she was a star-seed and an earth angel, and had all this black magic and stuff on her. Okay. So she had to deal with her stuff as well when she passed on. But she stopped, and all of that, the stuff was on her that caused her to behave the way she did. She reneged her destiny and she slipped under all of that toxicity. Okay. And towards the end of her life, she did start trying to change up some things. She was still not in her destiny. So she was taken out of here. She was the scapegoat. She was the sacrifice. Her daughter had been doing it, and probably other people in the family who secretly practice this stuff but act like they don't. Okay. Had sacrificed her and so forth. And but her life on the earth, when I was under her care, there was inappropriate touchings and things of that nature, okay, onto me. As with my mother. My mother, when my grandmother had passed away when I was 13. And so then she came into where we were living, and I recalled one time being on the couch and kind of laying down and a little bit sleep. And I opened my eyes to see like my mom like flickering a lighter on me, or saying she'll burn me or something like that if I something. And I'll kind of like look like, what the hell, like if I stopped her or something and she was trying to fondle and touch somewhere on me, right? And I was like, I was a little disorientated, and I think, just 13 years old. Yeah. Mm. They tied up my throat chakra. That's what they did. That's why it's coming clear now. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. This will be revealed. So, yes, my mother did that. As a 13-year-old girl, you know, I was halfway asleep, traumatized, like, what is she doing? She was tormenting me. She's been a burden to me my whole life. She wasn't well. She was a karmic, okay? My grandmother probably knew that. Okay. And wow, this is deep. Lighting. Mm-mm-mm. again, that card that came out that says you didn't imagine it, okay? So she had been tormenting me my whole life, okay? My father, looked at me inappropriately. I was a teenager, and I think I'd spent the night with him after having my son, and I was trying to move and get some things worked out, and he was just kind of looking at me in a very weird and lusty way. But you never speak of this stuff. You know why you don't? Because nobody believed you, and you're shamed for this stuff. And, this is the way it goes. But this is why people stay silent for so long. And it's why people have mental illness, whether they know it or not. Because anytime you're squelching these traumas and all this stuff and just trying to just push through life and all of that, it creates imbalances within us, within our energy. This is why I say real healing can never come when we don't want to deal with the pain or the truths. We can go to church and shout all we want and have Bibles and go to meetings all we want. And one day I'll reveal here soon what that all is really about. Okay? That has nothing to do with healing. It has nothing to do with ascension and love energy. It's bondage, it's control, and it's a program. Okay? So that was the violation there, with my father. And so I feel like, when I had asked about what would my mom or sister be saying to me with that card that came out, you didn't imagine it. I think that was the reveal that everything that I had been saying and that I've been, receiving in terms of like my downloads and things that I've experienced and what was wrong with my family. I think they were clarifying that, like, we, here in the place that we are, having all that stuff stripped off of us, okay, you did not imagine none of it. Yes, something is wrong with your family. And this is what star seeds and earth angels come to deal with, but it's also why people like them target us to kill us, to sacrifice us, to gang stalk us, to try to get us, kidnapped and death rituals and bullied and, scapegoated, because it means that you uproot all of these deep, dark secrets that have been the wound and the pains of an ancestry that nobody wants to deal with. And lifetime after lifetime, it gets worse. Lifetime after lifetime, because people slip more into the dark side. So it's just hurting more and more lives, causing more and more bad karma, creating more and more blockages. And so they revealed that, okay? And the next card that they revealed, if they could speak to me, was that they were sorry. They said that I didn't imagine it. Like, yeah, you were right. We tried to hide it and we pretended, but you didn't imagine it, Brandy. Um, and we're sorry. And then other things that came out in terms of what they would say if they were allowed, um, was that they know who I am, and they know that I wasn't like them, that I was different than them, and that I was a starseed and earth angel. The other thing that came out was they didn't know how to let me go. So that's telling me about their obsession and their mental illness and their imbalances. And they know that I didn't need their approval. They said, thank you for leaving. Thank you for walking away, because they wouldn't change. A card came out that said, because they know they wouldn't have changed. And I was like, whoa. And um, what else did they say? Because they said, I'm sorry. The obsession. So what the thing that kind of weirded me out a little bit, but I think they were just trying to reveal, like, they did have a sick obsession with me. They had a sick obsession with me, with my life, with my energy, and they know that. In the place that they're in now, that has been revealed to them. So they know that they had this fantasy, fixation, obsession with me, and me leaving triggered. But now they see, and they're like, thank you, because we see that we would not have changed. We see that from our life's review, they showed us that we have done this lifetime after lifetime after lifetime, and every time they've been granted another chance to get things right, they still never do it. They die and, you know, go into the review, the ancestors meet them and they say the same thing. And so they say that they know it, you know, they're in purgatory. They have to receive, you know, all of that torture and torment that they have done. So they're in a Nine of Swords, purgatory-ish energy. So I found that kind of interesting how they are able to do that and see that and grant it that exchange with the ancestors and with Anubis, which is the one that made the final call and took them there. So this is something they have been following lifetime after lifetime. I find this stuff very interesting and fascinating. But one of the things that I also had to accept is that, well, Brandy, you know, even past, you know, this unfortunate tragedy here, before this even happened, okay, I had to accept some time ago that this may be a walk alone for a while until I manifested proper soul tribe, because it's just the way it goes, you know, and I wasn't going to spend my life trying to convince those that are asleep or in that fear ego-based grid, and essentially is of the devil, okay, which it's based in that energy, you know, people going to church, this world, you know, man-made religion has nothing to do with source. And this is what's got a lot of people fucked up, okay? It has nothing to do with that. It's a program. And everybody is like, ooh, it's like, yeah, because you're asleep and you're still programmed. Because if you can operate in the stuff in which my mom and sister has had to face their judgment for, how are you about love? It has nothing to do with church and Bibles and scriptures, and and people don't want to let that go, but that's that mental illness and imbalance, and they end up stuck there, okay? And that's their right to do, but we just all, you know, I don't really know what to say about that, because at the end of the day, it's like, well, and I just decided, all right, Brandy, you got to be done, honey. You just have to. And oh, yep, that's the other thing. Okay, so my mom and my sister was able to, um, they understand, and if they was allowed to communicate to me, um, they get before where they were upset because of their obsession. They were upset that I let them go. That's what kicked them into trigger, right? That's what kicked them into the high gear. They had already been doing this stuff for years anyway. Okay, but what kicked them into high gear was the thought of me getting away, right? Getting away. But they said that they understand now. Oh, yeah, that's what they said. I'm sorry. They said, I understand you better now. And that's because all that confusion is gone. When you die, that state of the mind and all that is not there anymore. And they're granted to see things crisp and crystal clear without, you know, the illusions of the entities that was attached to them and all these different things. Without any of that, they can see. So they said, yeah, I understand you better now. I know why you had to get away. I know why you ran. Because you are divine feminine. It was revealed to them who I was and why I came. And so they could see, like, oh, she knows. She sensed it. She felt it. She was given guidance. And so she had to. It was to save her own life. It was to save her own child, because we were never going to stop. And in fact, had we not died through doing more spell work, which was the case with my mother trying to kill my son, and my sister, the attempt of suicide, attempting to get attention, hoping to be revived and have the counterparts to come back and all this stuff, that they, you know, some people cannot, they're not mentally able to, and I said that, man, and another thing I did, man, I think it was like, what the hell was it? I was talking about in the case of murder, and putting someone on trial, and I was trying to be the devil's advocate and be fair and to be neutral and to say, what if someone was sorry? I think I did something like that. Like, how would you go about that? Because everybody has so many different views on it. And in that case, I think it kind of came out like, well, it gets bigger, it becomes bigger than them. And it's about now the health and well-being and safeties of others. It becomes bigger than, oh, they're sorry, and just, tell them it's okay and just give them, because some people aren't well enough to change. Some people get overtaken. And I honestly believe, you guys, I believe that, unfortunately, that's what happened with both my sister and my mother. I think, the move to Vegas for her, Vegas is a harsh, man, that's a harsh energy. And as a karmic person, someone that's already kind of templated into that lower, you know, it it's a challenge. And I can see how easily someone could get pulled into the world of the dark because, hey, it gets you what you need by any means necessary, man. But not realizing the cost and the effect it has on others, and it's too much, too far gone. Now you're affecting lives. You're not just doing something to yourself. Now you're doing shit to other people, and you're trying to, just. I feel like that's really what happened. It just overtook. And the more I healed and grew, the more they got triggered. But see, that's the purpose. What people don't understand is it was meant so that maybe if there was a little bit left in there that they could go on ahead and get the, just go on ahead and get the healing. And that's what the guides and the higher ups was trying to do this past year and a half. Was trying to see like, okay, okay, because time's running short. We're not gonna let you destroy divines. And we're not going to let you forever and ever play in their energy and try to make their lives hell. So hopefully you heal here, and please, so there was so many warnings and attempts through the ancestors and ascended masters. So many, right? But some people just can't. And so then that's when it gets out of everybody's hands. And then the higher realms just go on ahead, decide to take way over everything and go, okay, you know what? Enough. They just go, look, because this is not going to stop. It will never stop. So we're just going to have to execute the judgment accordingly to all individuals who are incessant in this energy, because it's time to stop. And some people just cannot fathom that in their mind on the earth because of their imbalance. That helped me when I was able to hear what they would say. I will say that that was the moment that I had to that was my moment to, cry my tears, because I was trying very hard to be strong. And I kept asking my guides to please help me, to be strong, because even though I knew that this had to be, it didn't take away my human side, right? To, I still bleed, And so to have that, to be able to hear that, I was like, okay, I understand, and they understand. That's the irony, that they do actually understand why they're there and why it has come to this. Because Anubis and my grandmother, and I want to say, okay, going back, I'll back up from Anubis. My grandmother, and I want to say my son's father, okay, because he was also one that was there, a part of it, because it was connected to his son. And he's one of my son's spirit guides. And judgment was called because his death was somehow related to my sister as well. And it, the spell work, this sacrificing people, and then people die. There's some weird things connected to why these societies do this. It's like, the energy harvesting, sacrificing lives for money. Okay, my sister had gotten into some pretty dark things. Okay, um, so my grandma and my son's father, mentioned to them that, hey, balance would not be restored. So they kind of was trying to reiterate to them why, because at first they go into negotiation. Oops, sorry. They go into a negotiation first. Like, okay, I'll do better. I'll do better. Let me go back. Let me make this right. Let me make it right. Because they see it for what it is there. All that fog, all that craziness is gone. They see it all. They get the full shebang. And so my grandmother and my son's father was like, balance must be restored. You all wouldn't let these people heal. You would not let Brandy heal. You didn't want them to heal. You guys will not stop. In order for them to be able to live free and not burdened by you guys' obsessions with their life, your obsessions with their energy, your obsessions with, spell work and lies and attempts to try to destroy them, they wouldn't have no peace. Because they're powerful and they'll be using their energy, combating, which is why they're not dead and can't die. They can't die. They can't die until it has been appointed for them to do their next phase of their ascension. They can't die, but they need to be able to live in peace, and you all won't quit. So that's what they told them. And then that's when Anubis, came in and further reiterated and explained. So they do get fair. They do get justice. If you want to equate it to being on the earth, they do actually get an opportunity. That's a trip to me. So I'm still learning all this stuff, and it's all like kind of like out there and woo-woo for me. And I'm just like, excuse me, I'm just like, oh my gosh, this stuff really happens. And, had me kind of like feeling some kind of way. I ain't gonna lie, it's a little bit much. It's a lot to take in. Uh, but I I found the solace in that they still had a just, fair opportunity. Like, we may not understand how all this stuff works, you guys. It may be a little bit too way out there for us to understand and figure out, but it is a little bit solace to know that, okay, so when you take your last breath, you're still granted, um, you're met by ancestors, you're met by spirit guides, archangels, ascended masters, you're met, um, in that way. You're granted clarity, you're granted a moment, you're granted an opportunity to see everything, you're granted to have a conversation, you know what I'm saying? So I like that because it's like, okay, so it's still fair. There is still a level of fairness. It's not just you go, you take your last breath and then they're kapow, like whatever. It's like, no, they still allow so that the soul can understand. The soul needs to understand everything away from flesh jacket, away from everything that was distorting their ability to see things clearly and understand. So I find peace in that. And I know it's for our human side, it is always challenging to lose a loved one, right? Even the loved ones that was at the hand of our own torture, that Stockholm syndrome, the trauma bonding that was at the hands of our own demise, that was planning our demise, it still hurts. So this is why I was more silent than normal the last couple of days, because I already knew. I knew when my mom did the spell work last night. I knew exactly when she did it because my son reacted to it. But his guides was very fierce, and there was like severe, the entities and energies and all that stuff was met with severity to try to come and strangle my son. Okay. But I hope as you guys are listening to this, do you see how unwell someone, please, those of you who are into this stuff, you're a grown person, you're going to do what you're going to do anyway. And you know, that is your free will as a human being on the earth. But please understand that practicing spell work on individuals is, you know, whether you're hiding it or lying about it, okay, secret societies, and I'll even dare to go towards religion. Please understand, when you are spelling, in other words, speaking words over people in prayers and whatever you're calling it, saying you're praying Bible and you're praying all this, understand this. You do not have the right to spell over anyone else's life. You certainly do not have the right to speak ill or darkness and death and destruction and all these things. Okay, in terms of the universe, how that is looked at as spell work. It's looked at as black magic, and it will have severe penalty for you and your life and what's near and dear to you. Okay, so those of you all who are in these secret societies and do this black magic and all that, I hope for your own sake and all that's near and dear to you, that if it's not too late for you, that you cease and that you go somewhere and heal and ask source, creator, and guides or whatever to help you to go about life in a different way to accomplish what you need without feeling like you need to sacrifice lives to get money in black markets, secret societies, and harvesting energy. Okay? Or trying to control people's movements and decisions. Go somewhere and heal. There's such ramification for this stuff. And it's just not worth it. My sister has, I want to say maybe 3 or 4 or 5. I can't even catch up grandkids that she left behind. This stuff don't have to be, but it has to stop somewhere. It has to stop. It is recommended that folks just heal or figure out a way to go through their grief, their anger, their pain. But that lifestyle of doing that ends badly. It catches up. It was revealed to me that a lot of people started slipping into that with COVID. It was already prevalent anyway. This stuff has been going on, you know, but when COVID happened, it really made people get into more fear. And people that were karmic in nature or not connected and aligned to source and unawakened, then this also heightened for them. So this is why they became even more animalistic, even more cutthroat, even more willing to do whatever it takes to survive. If that means killing, that means actually sacrificing a life. If that means harvesting energy that belongs to others or from someone else's field and playing in the energy world, like, it was amplified during this whole COVID time. But it was designed to get people to go awakened. And so those that were choosing to stay in their 3D fear-based energy template and mindset during this COVID, then things got more and more and more and more tough. Those that decided to, okay, as it got tough, decided to start it healing and awakening. For them, they began to heal and grow and shine and expand, even in the midst of all of the COVID. And I truly believe that's the difference, okay? Some chose to take what was happening with COVID and everything that was being triggered and decided to heal. Others just decided to find new ways to hustle. And that meant black magic and spell work and lies and using their bodies and you know, whatever they had to do, whatever it took. Copying, stealing, whatever it took. But see, that's that animalistic template you guys heard me talk about, no moral of a decent human being. But behind the scenes is sending chaos and conflict to people so that they can get the goods. Make it stressful for them, make it hard for them, make them lose this, give us this. And so people were benefiting off of, you know, sacrificing lives and sending spell work to lives and then harvesting energy and playing in people's energy. And that's not recommended. So if you guys come here and you're karmics and you haven't gone as far as, you know, in your mental space and in your consciousness, you haven't disconnected yourself entirely or refused or ignored entirely benevolent energy, the higher realms, then if it's not too late, if that gavel hasn't been dropped for you, and even if it has, I'll say this, even if the gavel has, in the name of what you have left, what you're leaving behind, even if the gavel is dropped for you, in the name of who you leave behind, because that is the world of energy and that's the way judgment goes. Okay, because if you continue on, you'll self-destruct anyway. That's going to be the judgment. But then the severity on what's left after you, everything that we're doing in this now and ongoing is always the point of manifestation and attraction, and always is going to have cause and effect. So I want to send my condolences to you all for any loss. That's never easy. But I want to also say the remedy is not evil or wicked, vengeance and black magic. That's going to only hurt you in more ways than you can ever imagine, or hurt what you care for, because I understand some of you all don't care anymore. I get that. But consider what you do care about, especially the innocent children. That's the part that has had me burnt up the entire time. Coming from my son, which is an innocent life, and all the other innocent children that are affected because of the decisions that the adults are making. Their mothers, their grandmothers, and they're just innocent lives. But so that's why I'm putting this out there. Like, look, if you want to hate, hate, and if you want to, you know, destroy yourself, destroy yourself. I mean, that's kind of what you'll have to deal with. But if you have anything left in you and you look at them babies or anything that still has not got distorted and dark for you and you care, you know that your actions are going to affect them, okay? That's the way this thing works on the earth. What you do, think, say, plan, decide, it affects them. So anyway, if this story is resonating with any of you all's story and you all have lost anybody or karmics that have passed away due to black magic and spell work and rituals and sacrifices and stealing and assaulting and bullying, may you be well. I send you guys extra love and light, and that you all able to just you know, continue to process and move forward through this and just get strong, okay? But hang in there and keep those boundaries up and continue to follow your guides, because that is imperative to your own healing, ascension, and success.